Welcome to Long Beach, where the roar of engines meets the rush of the Pacific. From Seaside Way to Shoreline Drive, California's streets transform into a high-speed battleground.
Can't win in the first corner, but you certainly can lose it.
Wow, take a breath, guys. That was sports car racing.
It's frantic here on the streets of Long Beach.
It's the perfect fusion of man and machine.
How hard do you press?
From finely tuned GTPs to full-throttle GTs, the world's best racers push their machines and themselves to the limit.
Elbows out, side by side through the apex.
Speed, strategy, and a bit of luck. This is street racing, California style.
The unmistakable tones of sports car legend Scott Pruitt opening our show today here at Long Beach. The left coast is the best coast. We're on the streets of California and the drivers will be dreaming of success. I got it in early. 1.96 miles, 11 corners, action areas down at turn 1 and then through that nudgy little technical section at the fountain and then downhill towards Seaside Way, towards turn 9. Big bump in the braking area there. It's been catching out a lot of the IndyCar drivers in their practice and the qualifying that finished a little bit earlier on this afternoon. And then the slowest corner on the IMSA schedule. That's the hairpin at turn 11. Lots of lock, lots of hands crossed all the way over, and just hope that you don't hit either the inside wall or the outside wall coming out. It's the 50th Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach, and it's live on IMSA Radio and IMSA TV. And alongside me, John Hindorf, in the Ford Performance Global Broadcast Centre, it is Ryan Marine, and we'll talk to him in a moment. Our Porsche keys to the race, sprint mentality, forget the long races of the 36 hours and 2 events that we've had in Florida before we came to California. Track position here is primo. So if you've got performance, use it, and use it now. You never know what's around the next corner, quite literally. At the front of the field, it's a BMW lockout at the sharp end of the GTP field. In fact, the first 3 rows go 2 BMWs, 2 Porsches and 2 Acuras. There'll be a little gap back after the 11 prototypes to the GTD field, which is Lexus, Porsche, Aston Martin, Ferrari and BMW. 5 different manufacturers in the first 5 positions, just underlining the variety and the depth of manufacturers here. Coming side by side to the start of the race, and Dries Van Toor with his 3rd consecutive pole position at the start of this season, who has mirrored Pipo Derani's effort from last season, leads them down to the first corner. Will we get through cleanly the first 3 rows as they started? And the 2 Porsches got rather too close together, and that allowed Nick Yellerly to have a little sniff round the outside, and I think that the 93 car has split the 2 Porsches. The red, white and black machine has gone through, so an opportunist manoeuvre right at the very start by Yellerly. Ryan Marine, at least we've had a clean start. The 2 BMWs seem to work well together as a team, perhaps not so much the 2 Porsches.
Very surprising. It didn't seem like the Team Penske cars gave each other much room there, did it? And it cost at least one a position. You're right, Yellerly very opportunistic now, splitting those Porsches. So a nice start there.
Just a quick word about drive times, because I know you will be asking, at IMSA Radio, by the way, on Twitter. I still can't bring myself to call it X. There is no real drive time. In fact, we've done the drive time now for GTP because it was 5 minutes. It's 35 minutes ostensibly for GT Daytona for the car to be, and the driver to be qualified and classified in the race. That's the same amount of time for the Bronze Cup category and anyone in for the Aitken Award. Now the battle is going on for what is now 4th place, with Nick Yellerly has his mirrors in the number 93, red, white and black. Oh, and there's a little touch there on the left rear, and that little cheese wedge, the piece that's the legality panel sits behind the left rear wheel, has just taken a little ding on Yellowleaf's red, white and black Acura, and into the wall at turn 8. Oh my goodness, I was just talking about that. That is the Corvette of Ore Fadani for AWA. Now, can he get reverse? It's a very dangerous spot. They won't leave this green for too long. They will be talking to the team at Race Control. LandoCorp.com sponsored car with that great black and yellow livery. The V8 is still running, and Ori's trying to get reverse. Now he's recycling the power. Yellow flags flying there at the moment, and it is a full course yellow. Now, did he jump or was he pushed? May have had some help here. No. Ooh, yes. Once again, put your team manager hat on here. Do you stay out if you're BMW and Porsche and Acura? I think if I'm Nick Yellowleaf, I might come into the pit lane and get that cheese wedge fixed, because the worst is you'll drop to the back of the pack and you'll be able to go longer into the race. Let's see what everybody else does. The pits have opened, and BMW have split the strategy. Porsche have sent both cars. The damaged Acura is in, but the non-damaged one stays out. In comes Jack Aiken in the 31 wheel and Cadillac. In terms of your strategy right here for this CrowdStrike pit report, Ryan, it's a full course yellow. You might as well put a new set of Michelins on if you've got them, surely.
You would think so. We're watching a BMW pit stop at the moment, though, and I don't see any tire change going on, just a driver change. That was done after the fuel, so they lost a little bit of time on that exchange, but I didn't see a tire change, at least from where I was sitting.
I'm just looking to see on our telemetry to see if there was any tyres changed. I don't think anybody who came into the pits changed tyres. It was a top-up of energy, that is fuel.
Now this is curious.
So here, yes, very curious, because the cars that split the strategy from Acura and BMW, being the 25 and the 60 that stayed out, are now coming in. I suspect they didn't want two cars in the pit box at the same time, or have they done another couple of laps, and do they think they can go from here? Race Control told the 93 car to come in and repair, so maybe that decision was made for them. That came in about a minute and a half ago from Race Control, so I think they didn't address that left rear issue, and the 93 may have to come back in again. Track temperature has climbed to 109 Fahrenheit, that's 43 Celsius. It's a pleasant 19 Celsius or 66 Fahrenheit in the air as we go back to green flag racing. It's coming up to 20 minutes before 11 in the UK. Thanks for spending your Saturday night with us here in the Ford Performance Global Broadcast Centre. Ryan Marine with me, John Hindhaugh, as we are back racing on the streets of Long Beach. And Felipe Nasser has taken over from Nick Tandy. Both of the Porsches, in fact, have changed drivers. That just coming up on the timing screen now. So it's Nasser from Campbell, from Philip Eng now, who's driving the 24. And the Yellowleaf car did come back into the pit lane.
That does seem like a big gamble and a big risk not to go ahead and make that change proactively. Ugh. Yes, they did.
Here they come.
Yes, they did.
Here they come now, and Rengers van der Zande has left the pit lane. He joins in just in front of the 5th place Jimmy Bruni now in the yellow JDC Miller Motorsports Porsche, but he's a lap and 5 cars off the lead. Incredible. Just a couple of things to note there. Those two cars, the 78 Lamborghini, the light blue car, and the 13 black and yellow AWA Corvette, their drivers at 35 minutes, because they've been down the pit lane, will not have fulfilled their drive time, so they'll stay out a wee bit longer. I suspect that everybody in GT Daytona, possibly apart from those two, will run till the end of their fuel.
We're now at the point they've just achieved the drive time. We're 35 minutes into the race. Oh, just as I say that, with that drive time taken care of, look at this parade of GT cars coming into the pit lane.
Well, that's because they have done the arithmetic, and they can go to the end after this pit stop. 35 minutes and 43 seconds elapsed, so they were just over the 35 minutes as they started to peel into the pit lane. And this will be driver changes for everybody. Robert Wiggins out of the Bosch-sponsored Corvette, and that means Tommy Milner is in, and a brand new shiny sticker set of Michelins for Tommy Milner in the DXDT car. Again, they will not need full fuel. Now, was that a full set or was that right side only? I'm not entirely certain, but my goodness me, that was a quick pit stop for the DXDT machine. But at the front of the field now, Tom Gamble has taken over the lead, because into the pit lane comes Parker Thompson from the lead of GTD, Ryan.
Yes, he's had a strong start from pole position. He's controlled the race to this point, but now relinquishes the lead to come in. Parker Thompson, that we're talking about. Seth Lucas also comes in, which leaves, I believe, 4 GTD cars that have yet to make their pit stops, led by Tom Gamble. Johnny Edgar, Frankie Montecalvo, and Jensen Altsman, I believe, are the others that still owe us a pit stop.
I would agree with that. They've decided that everybody else has jumped and they're going to do it as well. No sign of any mission. There's tyres on the wall ready, but no sign of them being fitted to the AO Racing Porsche as Johnny Edgar leaps out. The fuel is still going in. Lawrence Vanto is behind the wheel already, and he's gone. That's quick. That was very, very quick indeed for the bright green 177 in this CrowdStrike pit report.
Just have to see where they blend in. Jensen Altsman, the only GTD runner yet to make a pit stop. I think he's having too much fun. Doesn't want to relinquish controls of the race car.
Yeah, Jensen's very, very clever. He managed to stick some super glue in the seat before he got in, and he'll be, when they're talking to him on the radio, saying, Jensen, come in. Sorry, what did you say? Sorry. No, I think you're right. He's having a lot of fun. Number 66 comes in to the pit lane. Jensen Altsman will leap out to be replaced by his teammate this weekend, who's Robert McGuinness. And they are taking tyres. Fantastic driver change noted by Blurfiend and a few others at IMSA Radio on the DXDT Corvette. So happy, he says, to see that effort put in to keep Wiggins behind the wheel of a race car in a top series where he belongs. All 4 tyres were changed on the Wiggins car, and they still got that done before the fueling was done. So no time lost at all. Lawrence Vanto at the wheel of the 177 AO Racing, by dint of staying out, in fact, did do what you would call in single-seater racing the overcut. And that very quick pit stop on the changeover for AO Racing, that's got them into the lead ahead of Jack Hawksworth. Side-by-side action with the caught-off Mercedes, the red, white and black car, trying to defend against the DXDT machine of Tommy Milner. And Tommy was scored ahead at the line. He might be able to use some of the GTP traffic, and he goes through and takes that position. Tommy Milner now up into 6th, and Kenton Cook is a hard character to pass, Ryan. That was heart in mouth stuff. Great driving and great racing, respectful within and between the 2 classes on the track.
Exactly, that took a lot of respect and cooperation between 4 cars, 2 from each class, to make that work. Milner had just done the best lap in class the lap prior, so that Corvette is flying with that fresh rubber, as we've chronicled.
Coming on to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and air temperature has gone up to 20 Celsius. Oh, and there's contact between Jimmy Bruni and a GT car going into turn number 7, and that's damaged the JDC Porsche. This will be a full course yellow. It's out straight away for the debris that's on the track, and that was a turn 6, my apologies. So, good news, bad news. 45 minutes to go then. Well, all the GT cars have stopped already. But if anybody's got any... In fact, everybody's stopped already. But if anybody's got any fuel worries in GT prototype class, surely, Ryan, they've got to come now. Certainly, I don't think there's any fault on the GT driver. But that's not our call to make. That's race control. And Jimmy Bruni hasn't come in for emergency service. He's going to wait till the pits open. The intent from race control, as they say, is to open this time around. And Jimmy's in and out without losing a lap. He will be able to come through and retake his position at the back of the GTP field. And Earl Bamber has stealthily nipped up to 4th position in the best of the Cadillacs, but he's been followed through by Ricky Taylor. And again, haven't called those cars' numbers very often in the race, but they've gently gone about their race and now run 4th and 5th position. The safety car has disappeared into the distance. Felipe Nasr is weaving somewhat robustly left and right, and then hits the throttle as he comes out of turn number 9. Seemed to catch 1 or 2 people unawares, including his teammate Matt Campbell. And Campbell gets understeer, push coming through turn 11 at the hairpin, and now out onto the front straight. It is a copyboot restart by Felipe Nasr in the leading Porsche Penske Motorsport, the number 7 car, which has been going so well. The rest of the field streamed through. What a start to the season for Penske Porsche. And there's a challenge for position further back in the field as Marco Wittmann comes through and takes Ricky Taylor for 5th position. BMW ahead of the Cadillac. At the front of the GT Daytona field, Lawrence Vanthoor behind the wheel of AO Racing's Rexy. Yes, that Lawrence Vanthoor in for a one-off.
I've just been doing some numbers here, looking at the telemetry in terms of energy for the GTP class, and maybe that second yellow is what they needed. We're looking at the leaders right around 49-50% on energy with 29.5 minutes to go in the race. That's roughly 50% of a stint, and if they've got roughly 50% of their energy left, this is one that could come down to the timing and when the white flag comes and the checkered flag comes in terms of how many laps you end up doing in a time-certain race.
A new fastest lap of the GTD race for Lawrence Vanthoor. He needed to do it, but Jack Hawksworth is hoving into view.
This is going to be the challenge now. If we stay green, the next 23 minutes and change, it's going to be traffic all the way to the finish. We've seen that cause some issues for some already. We've also seen it give opportunity to others. Who will it break for? That's the question that needs to be answered in the final 23 minutes.
Nasser is doing a great job, and he's extended his lead on his teammate. Matt Campbell has done a better job in extending his gap back to 3rd place. Philip Eng down the inside at the hairpin. Lovely manoeuvre by Tommy Milner. Gets a little tap on the left rear for his troubles from Robbie Foley. That's 5th position for the DXDT Corvette, but looks like it's got some damage to the left rear now, Ryan.
Yeah, I think you're right. I do think they picked up a little damage in that side-by-side contact. Maybe that left rear fender got in the wheel well, that wide flaring fender of the BMW, and it just ripped some of the bodywork off of the Corvette.
Yeah, that is, I would say that is the very definition of a racing incident. We have to decide, as we do on every IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship race, on a BDO Nose Strategy Award. And actually, there's been some decent calls in the pit lane. Certainly, I'm looking at AO Racing and their pit stop cycle that pulled them through the field and got them ahead, particularly of what was the Parker Thompson started car. What's caught your eye for BDO Nose Strategy?
think that's a good call in the GTD class. They went a little longer than everyone else, and that seemed to help them get some track position, and Vanthor's been able to hold on to it ever since. I'm not sure if it's necessarily strategy, but certainly the execution of the Penske team during the pit stop, that's what got their two Porsches to the lead after the BMWs had controlled the early part. And maybe where you could tie it into strategy is we saw a couple of other teams not play the strategy right. Penske just did the little things right, and they executed and got to the front when others maybe overthought it or just were caught out by the timing of the yellow and they dropped back. So I'll have to do a little more thinking and see if I can come up with something more creative, or maybe our listeners can help us out.
Black and orange flag for Tommy Milner, and must come in. You do not get 3 laps grace. I am going to mention DXGT as well in the GT Daytona category because their pit stop was flawless. And they gave Tommy some new rubber, and he was making good use of that. Now, not through anything that they've done. They're going to drop back down again, but I think it's worth mentioning those guys getting up towards the sharp end. And I'm also going to mention Whelen Cadillac as well, who used the pit stop cycle to their advantage. Again, as you say, not particularly strategic because everybody came at the same time. I'm not sure a tape is going to be enough on there. Matt Campbell puts in the best lap of the race, a 1:12.872. So these two Porsches at the moment are running the race they want to and in the way they want to, because the gap between Matt Campbell and Philip Eng in third for BMW now 7 seconds.
Let's think about what could be in the offing here as well. This 7 car that leads, it has won every race so far this season, Nasser and Tandy. And here's an interesting, another interesting twist to that. Lawrence Vanthor has been the co-driver of Nasser and Tandy in those 2 races so far this year. He's obviously not in this car this weekend with this being a sprint round, but he is driving the leading car in GTD, so he also could stay perfect at IMSA this season.
The other car on the move at the moment is Philip Ellis. He's just put his fastest lap of the race in and the cars, and he's now closed within a second of a position on the podium. So Winward Racing doing fantastically well again in the GT Daytona Championship. They're moving forward as well, Ryan.
This is an interesting battle when you're talking about Ellis and Thielitz from the perspective that the 89 car is not a full season GTD entrant, and as it runs, he could take points away from Winward, which would effectively help the sister car, the 12, that is going for the GTD title. So they'll definitely be making sure Aaron Thielitz knows this situation. The 57, Ellis, that's the championship leader, the defending champions as well. And if Asser Sullivan is going to win the title, they know they're probably going to need to contend with Winward. So maybe that's another reason they entered an extra car here this weekend, because effectively by doing so and having it run so well, they're taking points away from a championship rival.
Side by side, that battle for 6th. The Motul red, white and black court of Mercedes. AMG and Elliott Skier goes to the left, goes to the right, down through turn 8, and more GT traffic, and here comes Fred Scharndorf. I said he was nearly there. He's right on them now, and he might get a little run. Now this is great news for Kenton Koch, because he now gets a little bit of breathing space as one of the BMWs is coming through there. That's the number 25 car, the 5th position machine for Marco Wittmann, with the number 57 blue and red Tecamet sponsored AMG right in the wheel tracks at the fountain of the additional machine. Oh, down the inside at turn 4. That is not a passing spot, Mr. Ellis, and I think you probably knew that, but he's clearly got a performance advantage. He's putting the car in places that you would not expect to see it. He's got a grip advantage here, I would say, at the moment, Ryan. And we said in the Porsche Keys to the Race earlier on in our Michelin Countdown to Green on IMSA Radio exclusively that if you've got a performance advantage, you have to use it when you've got it. And he's trying to turn that pressure until it's there. Here comes the number 24 BMW. That's the third place overall car of Philip Egg. Now, can that number 57 use the car going through to help him? As with 1 minute 48 to go, it'll be white flag next time around. 6 miles to go. Colin Brown has not been able to pass the Aston Martin Valkyrie, the Harter racing car, despite having more fuel on board and more grip. They are still sitting in 8th, 9th and Jimmy Bruni in 10th. 1 lap to go for Felipe Nasser. How do you characterise this one, Ryan Marie?
Well, I think what I'm watching right now is Nasser still has a pretty big energy advantage over Campbell. Campbell's down to 2%, which should get him around to complete this lap, but he's going to have to be a little bit careful and tiptoe. Now, the good news for him is he does have about 8 seconds in hand over Philip Eng, but let's keep an eye on those energy numbers here on the final lap.
As far as qualifying is concerned in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, it's been all BMW this season, and they're perfect. But as far as the checkered flag recipients, it's all down to the number 7 squad. 3 for 3 for Porsche Penske Motorsport and the 963. And Tim Cindric smiling at another Porsche Penske perfect performance. Back-to-back 1-2s for the red, white and black cars. And it's a Porsche win as well in GTD, the one-off entry. Will it stay a one-off entry in GTD for AO Racing, and Rexy making the debut in the GTD category for Lawrence Vantor. And let's not forget Johnny Edgar at the start of the race. So Lawrence Vantor has stood on the top step of the podium in every race this year. Just happens to be in 2 different classes. Got a problem for the Acura number 60. Colin Brown lost a left rear wheel. I think that's on the cool down lap. It is at turn 5. And that is bizarre. BDO No Strategy Award. It doesn't have to go to the winners in class, but AO Racing certainly played the strategy card at their pit stop. You're happy to give the GTD award to the AO Racing team for what they did in that pit stop cycle, even though they didn't, well, in fact, I was going to say they didn't choose when to come in, but they did. They did a little bit of a different strategy to everyone else in GTD.
Yeah, I think that's the right call. That was the race winning call ultimately that got them to the front, and then the drivers were fast enough to complete the deal. So I think in GTD that is the strategic call of the race.
Yeah, and in the GTP category, well, again, I mean, I think you've got to have a honourable mention to Whelen Cadillac, but I think it has to be the winning Porsche Penske Motorsport. They did nothing wrong, and again, their execution was excellent. So that is the winner in GTP. Unofficial results subject to post-race technical inspection. Nick Tandy and Felipe Nasser win again for Porsche and the number 7 squad. They're perfect on the season. And the second place guys, once again, their teammates, second time in a row that they've been the bridesmaid. BMW once again have failed to capitalise on a front row lockout, and great qualifying pace. They end up in 3rd. Cadillac in the shape of Whelen in 4th. The top 6 made up by the second BMW in 5th, and the best of the Wayne Taylor racing cars in 6th place. In GTD, your top 3, AO Racing from the 2 Vassar Sullivan cars. Mighty try by Phil Ellis and Winward Racing to get on the podium at the end, but ultimately they are held off by the additional car brought in by Vassar Sullivan. Championship implications in terms of taking points from the championship leaders there, as Ryan Marine pointed out. Next up, we're staying on this side of the country, and it's Laguna Seca, WeatherTech Raceway. I'm John Hindhaugh. See you soon.